Welcome to Intentionally Single with me, Lauren G., a podcast about singlehood as an authentic identity, not a problem to solve. Welcome to Season 2, guys. This is the evolution of this show. I recorded an episode just a while ago. I'm actually releasing these in the same day, but I just wanted to share with you kind of where the direction of this podcast is going, and I wanted to seal off the last season with the last episode. So it has been a hot minute. It's been 6 months or so since I actually recorded an episode, and I need to tell you where I've been, because where I've been explains why this podcast is evolving, and I shared a little bit with you in the very last episode. So me kind of like disappearing has happened many times in the past with this show and kind of in my life. It's sort of who I am. I just disappear for months and then I come back. It's been happening since 2016 with this show. So the last few months have been about discovering what intentional actually means. I love this word. But each time I explore a concept, it has many different layers. And I find the layer that is significant to me in that moment. So for the past several months, I've been finishing my master's degree in mind-body medicine from Saybrook University, and I am finally complete. I am so excited, although I know I'm going to miss school because I am a forever learner. And I'm excited because I actually get to go to California for graduation in June. So my capstone project was on nature-based awe experiences. Awe, that's AWE, like you heard it. And stress resilience. I spent months researching whether spending time in nature, specifically having experiences of awe in nature, actually helps people manage stress. And what I found was incredible. Just 20 to 30 minutes in nature produces measurable results in cortisol, which is your stress hormone, by 21% per hour. I think that is absolutely incredible. But more importantly, I discovered something called the small self phenomenon. When you encounter something vast in nature, like looking up at trees, staring at the ocean, looking at the stars, watching a sunset, you actually start to feel smaller, like you start to feel like a part of something much bigger. And instead of making you feel insignificant, it makes you feel, well, free. Your problems get contextualized. They're still there, but they're not all there. This was not just a theory. I experienced it myself during this research process, and I've actually been experiencing it for many years, but this research kind of brought it all together and showed me something that I actually already knew. And this wasn't just a theory. I experienced it, like I said, myself during the research process. I would walk through the nature preserve near my house, and I've been doing this for many years. I'd start with my mind racing, like all the thoughts, all the stress, all the things, and I needed to figure out what was going on. Somewhere around the 20 minutes in, staring up at the trees, everything would shift. My mind would quiet, not because I was suppressing the thoughts, but because my mind finally had a job to do that was complex enough to keep it occupied. And in that space, when my controlling mind finally gave up trying to control, insights would appear. Ideas, clarity, understanding, this podcast relaunched, and the new ideas that I have coming into it. This all came from one of those walks. The realization I'm about to share with you is also coming too. So, while I was finishing school, I made another decision. I hired a fitness coach for the year, and she is incredible. So she's not just fitness, she's nutrition. And now before you think, oh, she's trying to look better to attract someone, just stop. That's not what this is about. I have wanted to train like I'm preparing for a fitness competition since I was 24, since I became a personal trainer when I was around 22 years old. Now, I want to do this not to actually compete. I have zero interest in being on a stage and being like a Barbie doll. That's really not what I want to do. But I want to see what my body can do when I give it structure, discipline, and intention. I'm 45 years old. I am in perimenopause, and I'm watching women around me accept that their bodies are just going to decline now. That is not acceptable to me. So I hired a coach. She's got a military background, and she tells me exactly what to do. Training, nutrition, all of it. Here's what's interesting. I'm educated in this area. I know how to program workouts. I know about nutrition. But I did not want to spend my mental energy trying to figure it out and adjusting when necessary. I just want someone to tell me what to do so my mind could stop spinning. Giving my mind a job, following the plan, let the results come. It's the same framework I used to complete my capstone without spiraling into this crazy anxiety. Give your mind specific, complex enough tasks so it can stop creating the freaking chaos. And suddenly you have this bandwidth for what actually matters. I've also been working on my financial health. For the first time in my life, I'm not worried about money. I'm saving, investing, planning for the future. I can pay my bills ahead of time with money to spare. I can buy things without stress. I have 2 car payments, mine and my daughter's, and it's all fine. This matters because financial stress is one of the biggest reasons people stay in relationships that they don't want to be in. I can't afford to be single, they'll say. I used to believe that. I don't anymore. Why? Because I handled it. I educated myself. I made decisions, and now the pressure is gone, and I reap all of the benefits. So let me connect the dots here. I finished my master's degree by using a framework that quiets my mind. I'm training my body using structure that removes decision fatigue. I'm building financial security that removes external pressure. And in the middle of this, I've been sitting with a question. What if I'm not broken for being single? What if I'm not healing to find a relationship? What if I'm just complete? And if I'm complete, I'm genuinely content, financially secure, physically strong, intellectually fulfilled, emotionally grounded. What's the rush? Why am I supposed to be seeking? Which is what the show used to be called. Intentionally single, seeking, not settling. And that's the question. That simple question changed everything. So after I don't even know how many years of believing something was wrong with me for being single, after the attachment work I shared in the last episode, after completing this degree, after building this life, I realized I am not seeking anymore. Not because I'm closed off, not because I'm bitter, not because I can't love, which I used to think. Last week's episode proved that I can love deeply, but because I'm already whole. All right, let me be clear here, like really clear about what I mean by that. When I say I'm not seeking, I don't mean I'm building walls. I don't mean I'm rejecting love. I don't mean I've given up. I mean I'm simply complete in this moment, right here, right now. As I am. I'm living with my parents and my teenage daughter. I work retail management, and I absolutely love my job. I am turning 47 this year. I'm in perimenopause, but I'm complete. I'm not broken. I don't need to fix a goddamn thing. And from that place of completeness, I am genuinely open. If love comes naturally without effort, without compromise of myself, without having to perform or seek or chase, I am open to it. But I'm not holding my breath waiting for it. I'm not arranging my life around the possibility of it. I am not measuring my worth by the presence or absence of it. I am living fully right now. That is the difference between seeking and being open. Seeking to me now says, I need something outside of myself to be complete. Being open says, I am complete. I'm receptive to what comes. For my entire life, I believed this cultural story I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. If you're single, something's wrong. And if you're single and living with your parents, you failed. And you're single and working retail instead of some prestigious career, you haven't achieved enough. And if you're single and happy about it, you're lying to yourself. That story creates so much shame, so much anxiety, so much performance. I tried to fix myself. I did all of the things. I did the healing work. I learned about attachment. I read the books. I listened to the podcasts. And all that work was really valuable. It helped me grow. It helped me understand myself. But it was all based on a false premise that being single was the problem. That I needed to heal enough to become worthy of a partner. That once I did enough work, I'd finally be ready for love. And then during those walks in the nature preserve near my house, when my mind finally got quiet enough, I realized something. What if there's nothing to fix? What if there's nothing at all to fix, like ever? What if I'm not broken? What if this is my authentic identity? I've been researching singlehood as identity for my work. And what I've learned is that there are 3 types of single identities. There is one called counter-normative identity. People who feel pressured by society's expectations. They're single, but constantly fighting against the stigma, feeling like they're supposed to be partnered. Then there's peripheral identity. People who seek singlehood as one aspect of their identity that might change. So they're open to partnership, but not defined by the absence of it. Then there is core identity. People who are single at heart, for whom being single feels like the most authentic state, who feel like more like themselves when they're not in a romantic relationship. This is where I am right now. So for, I don't even know how many, over 20 years, I occupied that counter-normative identity. I was single, but I felt shame about it. I felt pressure. I felt like I was failing. Then I moved into this peripheral identity. I'm single now, but I'm healing it so I can eventually find someone. But then sitting with the research and sitting with my own experiences, sitting with the question, what do I actually want? And I realized I might actually just be single at heart. Not because I can't love, not because I'm afraid, not because I'm damaged, but because this is my real, authentic state where I feel really freaking good. And that realization, the possibility, changed everything. Because if I'm single at heart, then I'm not broken. Then I don't need to keep healing towards a partner. Then I can stop performing for a future that I don't even want because I love my life right now. Then I can just be. Now, I want to be really honest with you. I don't know for certain that I am single at heart. I'm sitting with this question. I'm exploring it. I'm allowing space for it to be true. Maybe I'll discover I do want partnership and this is just a phase of this healing. I don't know. But right now, I feel it. Maybe I'll meet someone and everything will shift. Maybe in 5 years, I'll look back on this episode and laugh how certain I sounded. I've done that before, and that's okay. I don't know. But what I do know is this. Right now, in this moment, I feel more authentic as a single person than I ever have in my entire life. I feel more complete. I feel more free. I feel more me. And I'm not willing to apologize for that anymore. And if you're feeling this way, neither should you. I'm not willing to qualify it with, but I'm still open to love. No, I'm not willing to soften it for people who are uncomfortable with the idea because, people have a lot to say about what choices you make for yourself. that someone might actually choose to be single. I'm not willing to perform uncertainty just to make other people comfortable. This might be who I am, and if it is, I will live it fully. Not apologetically, not tentatively, not while constantly looking over my shoulder for the relationship that is supposed to show up and prove that I'm normal. I am not normal. I accept that. I embrace it. I am just fully here, myself. So this podcast is changing because I'm not healing to find a relationship anymore. I am no longer seeking. I'm exploring what it means to be authentically single. And I'm inviting you to explore that question with me, whatever your answer might be. This podcast started off as kind of like dating advice, suggestions for Gen X singles. And there are over 50 episodes in the archive that reflect that mission. The episodes are not going away. They are documented real work, real growth, real insights, and science-backed. But they were all based on the assumption that partnership was the goal. And I'm not sure that's my goal anymore. Because like I said, I'm always shifting, I'm always changing, I'm always adjusting. So, starting with season 2, which is this season now, this podcast is becoming something different. It's becoming a space to explore singlehood as a legitimate identity. Not singlehood as a phase, not singlehood as healing until you're ready, not single as waiting for the right person, but singlehood as authentic, chosen, complete way of being. Here's what that means practically. I'm still going to talk about relationships, about love, about connection, because being single doesn't mean being isolated. I have deep friendships. I have a soulmate who's not my romantic partner. I have family. I have community. And I'm going to explore what those connections look like when you're not organizing your life around a romantic partnership. I'm still going to talk about attachment, trauma, healing. I'm still going to work with hypnosis because that work matters whether you're partnered or not. But I'm not framing it as healing so you can finally be ready for love. I'm framing it as healing so you can be more fully yourself. I'm going to talk about midlife as a Gen X woman, and I know I do have some Gen X men listening as well. So guys, get ready for this, but this will help you if you're in a relationship with a Gen X woman. We're going to talk about perimenopause, about aging, about career, about money, about identity shifts, about the questions that come up when you are 45, 46, 47, 50, 60, and single, and realizing you might not follow the script you thought you were supposed to follow. I'm going to talk about the research, the actual peer-reviewed studies on singlehood as identity, the data on who's single and why, the evidence about life satisfaction among intentional singles versus those seeking partnerships. I'm going to talk about the neuroscience of contentment, the psychology of authentic identity. I'm not just sharing my personal journal. I'm grounding this in science because this isn't woo-woo. This isn't just do good what feels good. This is scholar, practitioner work, the work that I have been studying in my master's degree. Personal vulnerability informed by academic rigor. Lived experiences explained through research evidence. And I'm going to share the framework that made all of this possible. Parts of the practice that I developed that quiets my mind enough to hear my own truth. The tool that helped me complete a master's degree, train my body, build financial security, and discover that I am not broken. And I'm going to share in here. I'm writing a book about it. And throughout this podcast, I'll be teaching pieces of it because this framework and the discovery go together. The book will teach you how to quiet your mind. The podcast shows you what you might discover when you do. And for me, that discovery is I might be single at heart. For you, it might be something completely different. But the process is the same. Quiet the noise. Distinguish cultural shoulds from internal truth. Listen to what's actually there, and then have the courage to live it. So let me be really clear about who this podcast is for now. This is not for you if you're looking for dating strategies, if you want tips on how to attract a partner, if you're healing specifically to find love. This podcast will help with that, but that's not the direction. If you want me to tell you that if you just do the work, your person will show up, that's not what this is anymore. This podcast is for you if you're questioning whether you actually want a partnership or if the partnership that you're in is the right one for you. If you're tired of feeling broken for being single. If you are curious about what singlehood as an authentic identity looks like. If you're a Generation X woman navigating midlife and realizing the script just does not fit anymore, or maybe it never did. If you want to explore these questions from a place of research, not just my personal opinion. If you are interested in the intersection of mind-body medicine, identity, and authentic living. If you are open to the possibility that happiness doesn't require partnership. Guys, I'm not here to convince you to be single. I am not anti-relationship. I'm not saying partnership is wrong or unnecessary or outdated. I'm saying for some, singlehood might be their authentic identity, and those people deserve to see themselves reflected somewhere. They deserve a space where being single isn't treated as a problem to solve. They deserve permission to explore that identity without constantly qualifying with, but I'm still open to love. If you're one of those people, or if you're curious whether you might be, this podcast is for you. If you're not, that's completely okay. There are thousands of podcasts about finding love, healing for partnership, and becoming your best self so you can attract the right person. This just isn't one of them anymore. So here's my invitation. Come with me on this exploration, not as someone who has it all figured out, I certainly don't, but as someone who's willing to ask the hard questions, who's willing to sit with uncertainty, which is one of the hardest things in the world, I know. Who's willing to change the cultural narratives and challenge them, who's willing to prioritize truth over comfort. I don't know where this goes. I don't know if I'll feel this way in a year or 5 or 10. I don't know if this is permanent or a phase. I don't know if I'm truly single at heart or if I'm still healing from past hurt. But what I do know is right now, this feels true. And I'm done apologizing for it to anyone. I'm done performing uncertainty to make other people feel comfortable. I'm done qualifying my contentment, but I'm still open to love. I'm done treating singlehood as something to transcend. I'm exploring it as something to inhibit. Fully, authentically, unapologetically. And I'm documenting that exploration here with vulnerability, with research, with clinical insight, with real-time discovery. If it sounds interesting to you, please stay. If it doesn't, I genuinely understand. But either way, I'm doing this because after years and years of shame, after years of feeling broken down, something was wrong with me, after years of believing I needed to fix myself, I finally have given myself permission to just be. And that permission changes everything. So starting the next episode, we are in season 2. And the next episode will be the day I stopped being ashamed, how quieting my mind revealed my truth. I'm going to share the exact moment where everything shifted for me, when the shame dissolved, when I realized I wasn't broken, when I gave myself permission to explore singlehood as identity instead of circumstance. And then we'll dive deeper into the 3 types of single identity and how to figure out which one you are. The research on singlehood, happiness, and life satisfaction. The framework for quieting your mind enough to hear your truth. The intersection of singlehood with other midlife identities, menopause, career shift, empty nesting, aging, all the good stuff. The practical realities such as finances, housing, healthcare, social connection, legacy planning. The emotional landscape, which is my favorite part. Grief for the life you thought you'd have. Joy in the life you're actually living. Real conversations with real people exploring these questions. This is scholar practitioner work. This is personal vulnerability grounded in peer-reviewed research. This is the lived experience explained through my mind-body medicine work. And it all starts this season. I'm Lauren Jean. I'm 46 years old. I'm a hypnotist, a mindfulness coach, and a retail manager. I have a master's degree in mind-body medicine. I live with my parents and my teenage daughter. I am in perimenopause. I'm training my body like I'm preparing for a fitness competition I'll never enter. I'm financially secure for the first time in my life. And I have a soulmate who's not my romantic partner. I might be single at heart, not broken, not healing towards partnership, not waiting for my life to start, just complete. This is Intentionally Single, and starting next week, we're exploring what that actually means. Singlehood as an authentic identity, not a problem to solve. This is Intentionally Single. I am Lauren Jean. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode.